shifting gears to Brooklyn and with Kyrie Irving, there's been a lot of controversy with him. He's a very polarizing player. A lot of people made a big deal with him spraying, what was it? Not spraying, but how to describe it? I guess spreading sage. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh,
And when he
yeah.
went back to Boston, I didn't understand what was the big deal about that. Like people are like making it seem like that was a negative. I didn't understand that. And you know my beef with Kyrie Irving, but it just seems like with the narrative, there's holding everything. I guess every little thing that he does, the holding it against him. Even him appearing on that conference call with that, I think that district attorney in New York, which on a normal circumstances you probably never hear about, and he'd probably be praised for at least being involved in the community, no matter what political spectrum you're on. Now it's just seen as a negative. So with Kyrie, I want to ask you this question because I want to play devil's advocate here a little bit. You know, I've been a harsh critic of Kyrie's, but however, in one aspect, I understand his feelings of being unhappy in a workplace, especially with COVID, right? Like, and they were discussing Kyrie Irving on the Ryan Russillo podcast, and they were kind of speculating as to why he's taking this absence from the team. And with Jackie McMullen, which I agree on, if he were to say, hey, I'm taking a leave of absence, the Capitol riot, everything going on, I just need some time to decompress. She said, and I agree with her, like, I would totally respect that. Take all the time you need. Like, I think a lot of the teammates would understand, like, everybody deals with stuff their own way. Like the death of Kobe Bryant. Like, I'm not, you know me, I'm not a Kobe fan per se. That really affected me. Like, I remember the day where we were having lunch, right? Like that's all we talked about, you know, the day that he passed away. And I was just heartbroken by it. I didn't know it connected to me in a way that I didn't think it would affect me. So I understand somebody being affected and not being able to perform their job, and their minds need to be clear until they're able to perform. My thing with Kyrie is just the lack of communication and his track record going all the way back to Cleveland and having everything really being set up for him to succeed. So when he was drafted with the Cavaliers, there was no LeBron, and he got LeBron. There was an issue, even though they won the title, right? He wasn't happy playing with him ultimately. Then he got Boston, which was like, okay, two younger guys. He's clearly the leader. That doesn't work out. Brooklyn, okay, even before COVID, even before he got hurt, we're hearing about him with his issues with his teammates before. And then all of a sudden, there's this an issue, you know, he leaves the team. And I think he had a pretty solid game before he wasn't, I guess, one of the things the NBA didn't allow him to come back because of the NBA COVID protocol, but also him not coming back to the team as well. So ultimately, I don't know what is this going to take to make him happy. I don't understand. I think what Stephen has said, maybe it was a little bit too harsh. I'm not sure you heard what he said in terms of wanting him to retire. I think even you might have posted it in our friend chat. But for me, I think he's onto something. I don't really understand what else does he want. At the same time, his animosity towards the media, I get it in terms of going back to Jackie McMullen on that podcast, they're referring to him, you know, as property in terms of McMullen having an argument with Kyrie Irving when Irving was playing for the Boston Celtics. And they got to the topic of the NBA draft, and they alluded to the fact that, you know, Kyrie wants players to go to any team that they want without any restrictions. And what she was saying, like, the NBA doesn't work like that. Like, you're a piece of property. And I think while that might be harsh, I think there's the truth to that in every sport. I mean, you are commodities on a chessboard. Your future is not being determined by the players. Certainly you have a lot of benefits in terms of fame, money, having your life, the rest of your life set, especially within the NBA, the pay that you're getting. However, the trade-off is that your destiny is not really controlled. But however, even in the NBA, we saw with James Harden, he got what he wanted. He got to leave, I mean, ultimately. And we've seen other players with same thing with Carmelo. Like, he wanted to trade. He ultimately got his choice. Like, other players were able to, by not necessarily acting the right way, get what they want. Like, even with Anthony Davis, right? He got what he wanted by leaving New Orleans, and it worked out. So I guess my question is to you, from a Kyrie Irving perspective, not trying to really just crap on this guy, but I don't understand what this is going to take to make him happy, because he's been put in different types of scenarios in which he's been given a chance to succeed, but there's an issue in every single way. And one way, it's like it's life, like you're trying to find that perfect position, in terms of maybe you're not trying to get the job that you want, right? And certain jobs don't work out, and it takes maybe 8 or 9 jobs until you get something that you're happy with. But in Kyrie, he likes playing basketball. I mean, this is his dream job. So I think with the teams, I don't understand what other scenarios does he want, and I'm just very confused. I'm really trying to empathize towards him instead of just attacking him and just labeling him as like a team killer. I just don't know what other scenario would be really suited for him, because in my opinion, I just don't see this working with Kevin Durant and James Harden with their usage rate and the way that they play, and with Kyrie's mentality. I just see it blowing up in their faces, unfortunately. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Greg in our interview had a brilliant insight about that I totally agree with, is that Kyrie doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants. And when you don't know what you want, for anyone, I don't care if it's basketball or something else, you're not going to find happiness if you are constantly searching. Now, and I mean that as far as like having a target that you're moving towards.
Sure.
Because we're all searching for answers for different things, of course, and that doesn't necessarily make you unhappy. In fact, very rewarding to search in some aspects. But Kyrie doesn't know what he wants, and I'll just be really blunt. Certainly I'm sympathetic when players have mental stuff going on, when players have stuff with their families going on, things like that. We're all dealing with different stuff during this pandemic that stretched on far too long. But we just have such an evidence built up with Kyrie Irving that he really is a chemistry killer anywhere he's gone. Yeah, I can't say otherwise. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk or anything. With Stephen A., for those of you who didn't hear the clip, I mean, he basically just said, Kyrie, if your head's not in basketball, you should retire right now. I disagree. I think if a team is willing to pay you a max contract, you can play basketball as long as that team is willing to pay you. Is it fair to his teammates? No. And Kyrie is not a good teammate up to this point in his career. Just not a good teammate. And that's why I have serious doubts about this Brooklyn team and their composition. I think, certainly the offensive firepower, nobody's questioning that. Kyrie has shown, in fairness, like in the finals against the Warriors, he has shown that he can step it up on defense and take it to another level. But these examples are few and far between. It's been in those moments on the highest stage. So maybe there is like a playoff Kyrie that can go off a little bit more. But, I think when you're in a situation already that by default puts the ball in your hand less frequently, it's going to be really, really hard to build more chemistry that way. Now, he said on January 6th, which of course was the events that unfolded at the Capitol, he said he wasn't playing because he didn't feel like it. And it was just as simple as that. I didn't feel like that. I think everyone was kind of sympathetic to like, okay, we're all emotional. We're all pretty high strung right now, given the events that have happened. But to not communicate with Steve Nash, as you mentioned, to not communicate with the team moving forward, and then to be seen at like a birthday party with family, which I'm not criticizing him for going to the party. But again, much like you said, the lack of communication is really problematic. So I don't know. For myself, I was pretty done with Kyrie as far as my belief in him as a leader when he left Cleveland and the way that all went down. And everything after that has just kind of reaffirmed that experience. I think, Kyrie is a very smart person. A lot of people mock him in some ways. Obviously there are like the flat earth comments and things like that, which is debatable if he even believed that or not. But I think he's a smart guy. I think he may have interests and talents in other areas, his life after the career. But I think he does need to communicate with his team and get himself situated and get a game plan going. As far as, this is the moment right here. We have James Harden just went off, Kevin Durant just went off in James Harden's debut. So Kyrie, are you in or are you out?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think just seeing Harden and Durant mesh so well immediately, it does put the focus on Kyrie Irving not being there. And with his personality, like you say, being a chemistry killer, I can't really disagree with that. I'm really trying to really not be super harsh, but I think the facts are there. I mean, it's just undeniable. And that's why I just don't see this team really coexisting